It's a real pleasure to talk about a huge success we had last year, and that is the Tour of Missouri. Largest sporting event ever held in our state, a free event to the public, an event that I believe holds great promise, now fulfilled, in uniting our state. Ordinarily, in order to see a world-class sporting event, we have to go to St. Louis or Kansas City, and we like to do that, those of us from other parts of the state. But here was a world-class sporting event that rolled through not only those two great cities, but the Clintons, the Hermans, the Lebanons, the Bransons, the Washington, and Augusta, and more towns in between. The event was such a success that the international folks who have to pass on this kind of thing have awarded us an extra day. We will go from 6 to 7 days this year. When they came back with the economic impact study that we have copies for you if you care to look at it, they reported an economic impact of $26.2 million on the state, over 367,000 spectators. And the persons who came, the visitors and the spectators and the tourists who came from out of state, they documented, are more affluent, stayed longer, and spent more money than the average tourist to our state from beyond our borders. And of course, those are exactly the folks we want. We expect to have all our incumbent sponsors from the first year back on board. Many of them are coming in at a higher level, such as their good feeling about the first year race. Last week, I made a call to Emerson in St. Louis, thanking them for coming in at 100,000, and the executive I talked to said, we wanted to be a part of this and really don't know why we weren't in on it last year. And so that's the kind of response we're getting. The hits on the website, through AT&T's sponsorship, we were able to do live streaming video on the World Wide Web on the website. The hits on the website were in the many millions, and they were from 122 countries and territories around the world. What that tells me is that my promise and my boosterism before the race, that this would be the best opportunity we ever had to brand Missouri to a worldwide audience and a national audience, was fulfilled. And that
we have a situation where our state is 13th in visitation, it's 19th in revenues. 13th visitation, 19th in revenues. So we have come up with a plan where we can kind of narrow that gap. Obviously, if we're getting the visitation, we're not getting the expenditures by the visitors, so we've got to find a way to get them to spend more money. So we do one of two things: either entice them to spend more while they're here, or get them to stay longer so they will be forced to spend more. So what we're trying to do is come up with some new strategies, and we have a four-pronged approach. Number one, we hired a new marketing agency for ourselves. They're Hoffman Lewis. Mark Schaefer, the president of Hoffman Lewis, is here with us this morning and working at TV, and get to him later here with some other descriptions and show you his marketing campaign. But they came up with a new message, a new logo. Our new logo and a new tagline is "Close to Home, Far from Ordinary." And we believe that has perfectly positioned us in our target market, which is the 80 million people that live within a day's drive of Missouri, here in the Midwest. They're close to home, and because of the diversity of our state, we feel we're very far from ordinary. So close to home, far from ordinary, perfectly positions, we believe, our message to these people, which is our target market. Also, we found that 80% of the people who come to Missouri and spend money and generate the revenues for us are baby boomers and young families. So that's our two target markets. We're going to vector in on those two groups of folks with the marketing message. They've also helped us revamp our media markets. And what we mean by that is, let me give for instance, in Omaha, for instance, I think we had 52% of the travel advertising that was going into Omaha was ours. The next closest state or entity was 25%. So we were kind of, I call it overshouting the market, 27%. So what we've done is take that down to 40%. We're still number one in the market, but take the 12% and go over here and use those dollars into a new market. And what we've done is go through our entire marketing strategy, found enough dollars to expand into 5 new markets and expand an existing 6th market, which is Chicago, which is a huge, huge market for us, especially in the western or the eastern side of the state in Branson. So we feel really good about that. The new agency that we have is not just exceptional from the standpoint of creative ability. These guys also understand business, and they've helped us dissect the market and target our target people, as well as revamp the markets and the medias that we're working in. So they have really got a really good approach, a full ability to really help us do a better job of managing our marketing dollars. The third thing we did was expand the co-op rules and change them around a little bit. What we found was that there was a proliferation of destination marketing organizations within certain areas. And we found that what we needed to do was combine those, because suddenly we were taking the pot of money and we were slicing those slices pretty thin. Or what we were going to have to do down the road, if this proliferation of DMOs continued, was to put them on a competitive basis, which meant some of our big guys may not even qualify for funds down the road. So we had to find a different way to approach this so that we could make sure that we funded those entities that could help generate the dollars, as well as help provide some funds for the new markets that want to get started. So we came up with this regional approach where, if you stop and think about it, it's kind of the hub and spoke theory, where we want the visitor to come and stay longer. So if we market not just the destination, Senator, let's take your county, for instance, Franklin County. Instead of Washington just marketing Washington, we're going to market all of Franklin County, all the little towns around it, all the wineries around it, and everything there to get people to come and stay longer in Washington County, so that there's reason for them to stay, do day trips out, and everybody wins. Rising tide floats all boats. Franklin County, I'm sorry, Franklin County. So we're doing this around the entire state, and it's been very well received. We've got groups talking to each other that have never talked to each other before, and suddenly they understand and see a bigger picture that if they're all going to be successful, they all have to work together. And by doing this, we've provided enough money in each location that they will not be hurt financially from the rules changes. So as a result, there's been a lot of buy-in, and we're excited about what this will do, not next year, but probably year after and year after, because we're working on 09 dollars now, and 09 program. The fourth thing we did was the international market. 2 or 3 years ago, that program was cut in our division because of budgetary problems, and the dollars that we were using, in my estimation, were wasted at the point they were at right then. So I went to the commission, I said, we have two choices. We either get in or we get out. If we get out, that's fine. If we get in, the opportunity is there, but we have to make a commitment to be long-term in this. We can't be going in and out, in and out, in and out. Then we're looked as sort of inconsistent and not very good partners on the international scene. So they decided they wanted to play in the market, so what we've done is put some dollars in that, and that will probably show up in 2 or 3 or 4 years down the road as well. We've had to go over to some of our primary markets, which are Canada and the United Kingdom, and explain to them what we're doing, that we do have a commitment from the Commission long-term to be able to be supportive of our efforts and their efforts to get people to come here, especially with the UK right now. Their dollar's 2 to 1 per hour, so they can come over here twice, have twice the fun for half the price. So they're anxious to come, and a very, very big part of our marketing effort. Along those lines, just to give you a heads up, the burgeoning China market, they estimate by 2020 we'll have 100 million people from China that will visit the United States. 100 million people will be exiting China to go visiting around the world, and we need to be prepared, because that's somebody that we could probably network with as well. People want to come to the Midwest. They view us as the real Americans, and when you talk to the people on an international basis, they love the Midwest. They love the Wild Wild West. They love Route 66. They love Mark Twain, Walt Disney, Jesse James. We have what they want to come see. All we have to do is market it correctly. And we did some focus groups in Dallas, Omaha, Wichita, and Memphis, and found some things that we were doing right and some things that we were doing wrong with the campaign, and made adjustments accordingly. But we have, as you can see, this one here is kind of a camping outdoorsy one, where it says sometimes getting lost is all it takes to find your kids. And here you have mom and dad camping around a campfire, and some verbiage that says, discover more than 400 campgrounds, millions of acres of forests, and the strangers known as your kids, all over again. Start by getting your free vacation planning guide at visitmo.com and our 800 number. And as you go through these executions here, I'm going to leave these all here, so you're more than welcome to leave them around the room here. You're more than welcome to look at it. This is a boomer ad that talks about a couple as they walk through the winery here, or the vineyards. Turns out wine isn't the only thing that gets better with time. Discover more than 80 wineries, hundreds of bed and breakfasts, and that person you fell in love with all over again. Start by getting your free vacation planner, and etc. So I think you can see that we're looking at trying to appeal to a different group of people up here.